Back at home, feeling misunderstood, and between these ears ain't nothing good.
Welcome back, Benchwarmers. You heard the Fanatics ad in there. Baylor fans, use the Fanatics link. Stanford women's basketball fans, use the Fanatics link in our bio at FEOTB Pod.
If you're a UCLA or Gonzaga fan or a Houston fan, you can still go get the Final Four gear too.
At a discount now.
So you can get all that good stuff through the Fanatics still. I know I'd use the hell out of that all the time. So I'd go buy all that merch.
Yeah, all my Gonzaga friends, if you're crying about last night, I apologize. I think one of them jinxed him because I have a buddy who works for a TV station out in Spokane. And he got flown out. He was kind of the correspondent for the station at the tournament, and he was in the merchandise store, and he found the section for the eliminated teams, and he said, "Oh, making some room for Baylor later tonight," and we all know what happened.
Yourself, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's. We're not talking about March Madness anymore. Let's talk about this mock draft from Todd McShay. He's one of the more respected draft guys. Obviously, this is a crapshoot. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I think the year that Baylor went number 1 overall, I don't know if I got one right until pick number 6.
Yeah.
And that was only by luck because...
I think because that was the year with Bradley Chubb, and I think the only one you probably would have gotten right because everything else was so wacky was probably Quentin Nelson to the Colts.
No, because I bought into the hype that you couldn't draft a guard top 5. Oh. So I don't even know if I got that one right. I might have had the Broncos getting Quentin Nelson, actually, in that draft. So, all right, let's talk about this 4.0. And mainly, we obviously know who he has going number 1 overall. Well, I mentioned it in our last little discussion we were having about the trade with the Panthers and the Jets. This is historic in the fact that the first defensive player is not drafted till number 9, which just so happens to be the Denver Broncos. And he has them picking Patrick Surtain in his mock draft. But the other, let's just talk about that first. Do you agree? My one thing is all those guys that you mentioned in the cornerback room, the only one that's going to be there longer than this next season, probably more than likely, there's 2. Darby because he's on a 2-year deal, but they very well can move on after this 1 year, and Ojemudia because he's still on his rookie deal. Everybody else is going to need to be somewhat restructured, re-signed at the end of the season. And if you want to play the contract game, if you want to, you basically got to decide in the AFC West, do you want to be able to have the secondary to compete with Patrick Mahomes, which everybody should want to, or do you want the linebacker that is probably going to be able to shut down these dynamic tight ends you're going to have to be going up against?
The thing is, Surtain will be a number 4 corner or number 5 corner. He will not be put in the dog.
You don't think he's going to be above Ojemudia?
Oh, that's why I said 4th or 5th, because I put Callahan, I put Kyle Fuller, and I put Ronald Darby ahead of him right now. I put Ojemudia as the 4th.
I think if they draft him at 9, they probably feel like they have to start.
That's why I don't do that too. Yeah. There's another reason why I don't do that, because you have proven guys already. Because you are not taking Kyle Fuller off the field. You are not taking Bryce Callahan off the field. Because Callahan wanted to have...
I could do without Callahan on the field.
But Callahan in the Fangio defense with Kyle Fuller back... There's a reason why the Bears were halfway decent with Trubisky not too long ago. It's because their defense was that good.
Double doink. Sorry, Zach.
So, you can't take playtime away from those guys, and then you're moving Surtain at the slot. That's why I'm in the position of this is a royalty pick for the Broncos, because your defense is damn good. The only problems you have is offensively, and you're just really young. And because you don't draft a receiver, because the receiver group is damn good and really good young. And you don't draft a running back because there isn't a guy that should be drafted number 10. And the quarterback position, that's the biggest question mark. The O-line was very solid at the end of the year. So you have to go linebacker there, because corner is, like I said, if we didn't make all these moves, because we signed 4 guys that are in our secondary to offset these deals. Justin Simmons is a big deal. Kareem Jackson brought back on a 1-year deal. I think safety is another option outside of corner, because you bring in another guy that can fill in for Kareem Jackson. I feel like that may be more likely than Surtain, because if we didn't sign Darby and Kyle Fuller this offseason, that's why I was all over Patrick Surtain. But now you can get a corner next year, because corners, like you said, corners is a revolving position. Like you can the college football always has good corners. And sometimes they're not always the best ones. Aren't always at the top. I mean, look what Okuda did last year. Yes, the Lions are ass, but Okuda wasn't the best defensive player last year. Winfield was, and Winfield was the best secondary player in this draft.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a safety that's worthy of the night. If you're gonna go safety, they trade back.
Yeah, that's where I was. You trade back or you take Parsons.
Yeah,
that's better.
I think that taking Parsons would be a smart thing. It's similar to that year that they drafted Chubb because I remember now I had Chubb going to the Browns. I had them picking Denzel Ward and Bradley Chubb, but I had them picking Bradley Chubb number 2 because I think that he was the best player in that draft overall that year, and I had them taking Denzel Ward the second time. But other than that, I think that's probably good enough because we got to get into the rest of our segments.